going to be your facilitator today. We're not going to make this a very formal presentation. We really invited two of the developers, Alan Davis, who's the president and CEO of I5, and Jeremiah Duck, who's their director at I5, who actually built out this platform for the NAM. And they're going to take you through kind of the basics on the uses of this. If you have any questions, because of the number of people we have on this webinar, we ask that you type your question in the right-hand column. You see where it says questions. You can just type your question there, hit send, and I'll then bring it up and address it to Alan and Jer. So do that throughout the program. We plan on this taking roughly about a half hour. It might go a little longer depending on the Q&A, but it's my pleasure to introduce Alan and Jer.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. I'm Alan Davis, and I'll be walking us through most of it. Jeremiah will be correcting me wherever I go wrong today, so we'll make sure that between the two of us we can answer any questions for you. Again, as Paul said, this is intended to be a very informal type of a presentation, hoping that you'll feel free to ask any questions that you might have as we go through. Make sure that we're able to answer those questions and ensure that we've explained everything in the detail that you'd like. Hopefully by now you've had some sort of an explanation as to what the marketplace is, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on that. If you would like to go to the public website, it's manufacturersmarketplace.us, and you'll find some basic information about it there. That's also the place where you're able to get started and be able to create an account, register to attend one of these demos if you have someone else who needs to attend one. So all the information that you'll need for the basics of what the manufacturer's marketplace is, you should be able to find there, including a product tour and a few other things. So today we're going to jump right in and focus on the functionality of the application itself. And we'll start with this link here around creating an account. And you'll see that it takes you immediately to a registration page. Now, I'm going to step out of the actual application at this point so that I'm in a demo site and I don't make any changes to production data. So I'm going to switch over quickly to our demo site and go to the same registration screen. So the first step really in getting access to the marketplace is to go through registration. If you haven't gone through that already, you're welcome to walk through that with us as we go through it today, if that may be helpful to you. I'm just going to start and create, since I'm in the demo environment, I'll just create a basic account. We'll use some things that are probably familiar to most people. We'll use Mickey Mouse as our demo account today. First name Mickey, last name Mouse. We'll create an email for Mickey Mouse. We'll say he's Mickey at Disney.com. And we'll create a password. In this case, I'm going to tell you what the password is so that I don't forget. Jeremiah can help me out. So I'm first going to put in a password that won't work. So you'll see the type of prompt that you'll receive with an incorrect password. We're just going to put in Mickey as our password, and I'm going to repeat that. And you'll notice as soon as I go to the next line, it tells me, wait a minute, your password has to be at least 8 characters, 1 digit, 1 lowercase letter, 1 uppercase letter, or a symbol. So we'll add a 1, 2, 3 onto the end of Mickey and satisfy the requirement. And that should allow us then to create our account once we have a correct password in place. So the next thing that we're prompted for is a company search, and that is to find out, has our company already been registered? Now, if you're a small company, it's probably pretty easy to figure that out. You can ask other people in your company to find out if you've already been registered in the marketplace. But in a larger company, that may not be so simple. So we provided a way to kind of look up companies to find out if they're already in here. So So we're going to say, is Disney already here? But we're going to give it a different zip code. I guess it doesn't matter. We'll leave that zip code and say, okay, is Disney here under zip code 84101? No matches are found, so we're going to go ahead and register a new company. In this case, we're just going to put in some basic address information and create a city, even though we won't use a real one today. And we're going to say we're in. And of course, you always have to have the expiration date and the CVC and some sort of a billing zip code. Now, this next piece is a promotional code. For those of you who are members of a state manufacturing association or the National Association of Manufacturers, they can provide you a promotional code that gives you a significant discount off of the price of the annual subscription. You'll notice down here we have one license showing, and the annual cost per license is $2,500. If I put in a promotional code, here I forgot my promotional code. You got me one now. I thought I'd left that on my clipboard, but apparently I grabbed a different piece of information. So you'll notice that the cost is $2,500. The promotional code will discount that by $2,000 so that you're able to get a license for a significant discount. So let me type in the license or the promo code here. This is another demo. 1267. Apply it. Hopefully I grabbed the right one there, and it did. You'll notice the discount has been applied now with an appropriate promotional code, and now I can proceed to confirmation. So my order now is confirmed as Disney with one annual license, my address information, my payment information. Down here are the terms and conditions. I encourage everyone, as always, to read terms and conditions. Make sure that you're understanding of what terms and conditions of use of the system are. But one of the main things that is in here that's important to make note of today is just that this is a platform that's built entirely for manufacturers. And so we ask that everyone review that. We have even a second step here that are conditions for access. And this specifically says that, look, I affirm and I agree that I am a manufacturer. I'm not someone else pretending to be a manufacturer. I agree that if I lie, that basically the National Association of Manufacturers keeps my money for registration that I pay, and I will be booted out of the system unceremoniously. We really want to make sure that this remains pure to manufacturing, at least for the time being, as we work through these criteria. We're asking that everyone affirms that, and we'll work on additional criteria as we move forward to ensure that this remains by manufacturers and for manufacturers. So finally, then, I'm able to submit my payment. And I have a confirmation here that says my order is complete. It gives me my details. An email is also sent so that I receive an email confirmation of my order and the details in there. One other thing, just to notice on here, down at the bottom, there's also an invitation to join the Marketplace User Group. This application is intended to really be added to, expanded, and to grow based upon feedback directly from you, the manufacturers. So as you have opportunity to, or you would like to, we encourage you to attend the user group, to participate in the user group, provide feedback, let us know the things that are not working well, that you don't like, let us know the things you love and you are really appreciative of. Any of those things are helpful to us as we try to really put forward the very best a development track right now that has us putting out updates and improvements on a monthly basis for the time being. And so anything that you suggest, there's opportunity that it may be included in an upcoming development cycle and be pushed to production relatively quick, depending on what it is, how many people are requesting it, the types of changes that you may want to see. There's opportunity possibly to get those in relatively quick, depending on the priority of the request as it comes in. So we strongly encourage that. We look forward to working with you for any of you who can, and we desire to really make this a great application for you. So now this takes us back to the login. We set up Mickey at Disney.com. Whoa. Password of Mickey123, and we'll log in. As we enter the marketplace, the first thing we see is actually a search screen. Now, in talking to manufacturers as we were building this, that was the primary function that everyone wanted to use most often. And so that is the landing screen we started with. There's conversation about maybe having a dashboard landing screen come out sometime in the next couple of months. And so we're in process of those discussions and what that might look like. So if you have any ideas for things you would like to see as you log in on your dashboard, by all means, please let us know. For right now, it'll land on the search page, and you're able to get in to see that. The first thing I want to point out is over on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see a help and support button. Anytime you're anywhere in the application, this button will be available to you. If you have an idea, a thought, a concern, an issue, anything that you need help or support with, you're welcome just to click that link. And it brings up just a small dialog box where you're able to put in your email address. So as you put in your email address, your subject, and a description of the issue or concern or idea that you have, there's also an option where you can take a quick screenshot, and if you click that, it'll grab the screen that you're on, and it will include it with the email. Also an opportunity to attach a file, so if you had something additional that you would like to attach to it as that would help to explain your idea or thought or concern, you're welcome to attach that as a file and then submit. And that'll go directly to the help desk, and that is manned by our National Association staff, and they'll take a look at it and get back with you with some sort of a response on your request. And any of the technical questions that come up will be directed to us as well. So rather than starting with search, I'm actually going to start with profile. Your profile is what others will see, the information that others will see when they search and find your organization. So you want to make sure that it is as complete as possible so that, number one, you come up in as many searches as possible, and number two, that anyone who's looking for you may be able to find you based upon the information that's most relevant to your organization. So if I'm looking for a manufacturer who does some sort of a process, I'm going to type that in on the search page, and I'll show you how it works in just a few minutes. But when I do that search, what is the information it's searching across is what is right here in the profile. To make sure that this is as up to date and as accurate as possible, you notice there's just a little bit of an indicator that will show you your profile completeness, an address. You notice we haven't put in a website yet. I'll kind of walk through some of the data entry here. I won't spend a lot of time on data entry. It's fairly straightforward in most areas. But there are a couple of them that may not be as straightforward, and so we'll walk through a few of them to make sure that we give a good idea of what it's like to enter the data. So the first thing that you may want to notice is there's both a locations and an addresses link. So you'll notice I have an address here tied to the location that I registered. So when I registered, I put in my address information. That is the address that shows here. If I have a mailing address or maybe even an old address that others might be searching for, maybe I've moved recently or something like that, I would want to put all the addresses in that are tied to my main profile. Then under locations, if I have multiple locations, I would also want to put in the multiple locations that are associated with my company. Maybe I have headquarters in Alabama, but I have locations in 6 other states. I would want to put that information in under locations. So that's the difference between locations and addresses. The addresses are the addresses that tie to your main profile, to your main registration. And if you happen to register a second location, and this is worthy of mentioning, if you'd like to put in detailed information of processes, equipment, certifications, NAICS codes, all these things, they'll all be tied to the one location that you registered. If you would like to add that level of detail and be found for multiple locations, you'll want to register a second location and add the information tied to that location. So that is one thing that is slightly different about locations. You can list them all out here, but they wouldn't have all the other information tied to them unless you did a separate registration for that location. So if I want to add information, and my screen is actually showing this a little further down to what I expected, but there's the little plus symbol that you would expect. You click on that in order to bring up the dialog box where you will add that information in and make sure you save it. So I'm going to move along now to processes. So that's locations, addresses. Processes, this is an interesting area. We've been working on this for some time now. When we first started working on this application, and we actually worked on it in partnership with the state of Utah a few years ago, and we tried to build a comprehensive list of manufacturing processes, and we found that there wasn't one that really exists in the United States. So we think we probably at this point might have the most comprehensive list, but we are also partnered with ISM and in building out an even more comprehensive list, and we recognize that all the processes for manufacturing by no stretch are going to be in the application today. So if you have a process that needs to be added, please click help and support. If you are in here and you need to find something that you're not finding, then please make sure that you request that it be added to the processes, and we'll make sure that we get it added. We didn't just allow everyone to add their own processes because we found early on that by doing that, everyone kind of thinks about their processes a little bit different, and we ended up with the same process being defined in a number of different ways. So we're using ISM and a board there of subject matter experts that have been brought together to determine when a process is requested, what the wording is that we should use that everyone will recognize that process by. So the wording might be slightly different than what you request when we actually put in the application, but we'll let you know exactly what it is and ensure that you have all the information around it as it's added as a permanent process. I just typed one in, and you'll notice as I started typing, a list began popping up, and I typed in DIP because DIP shows up under 2 different main areas of manufacturing processes, one under brazing, another one under soldering, and there's DIP molding plastics. So I'm just going to click on one of those and submit so you can see what that might look like. So now it's added that process to my profile, and I can add as many processes as I have as an organization. And again, if you don't find them there, make sure you request them, and we'll make sure they get added in. The next one that would be of help to explain a little bit is equipment. Equipment is another one where there's so many different types and pieces of equipment. We started off very simple in this first iteration of the equipment area. We're just adding brand and model, and also a place for notes where you can add additional description about it. And anything that you put in here can still be searched and found. But if you have specific fields that you would like to see us add here that would be helpful to describe your equipment and that you would like others, or you know others may be searching for, again, please let us know and we'll make sure that we get that added in. As I add this information in and click save, again, it goes directly onto my profile. I have a lot more time on that. Certification. So certifications is another interesting area in that I can put in any type of certification that I have. I'll just do a little type ahead on this one. Let's say I have, and I start with IS on it, Burnwise certificate or an ISO certificate of some kind. I can always select that, and again, I'm able to save multiple ones. So after I enter all the rest of the information, when I hit submit, then I can go back and add additional certifications if I'd like. But I can put in an effective date, an expiration date. I can even attach a file if I have a file that shows my certification. That's always nice that people can actually see the certification when they click on your profile and see that you have completed and you're up to date on your certification. Again, a place for some notes to add that in. A place for email addresses. You're welcome to add as many email addresses for people in your organization that you would like. Phone numbers, contacts, those are all fairly straightforward. And NAICS codes. The NAICS codes area I will spend just a minute on. Again, this is using the 2017 version. Yeah, 2017 version of NAICS codes. And again, if I want to do type ahead on this, I can. Let's say I want to do forming of some kind. Let's say doing custom role forming, and you'll notice the check mark shows up. And maybe I'm also doing, maybe power distribution, especially transformer manufacturing. Who knows how many of these I might be doing as an organization, but whichever ones apply, then I close. And that'll bring me back and show that I have selected those. They show up under my name code for my organization. SIC codes works very much the same way, and I can use any type of description that I need to make sure that I get the right SIC codes as well. That's basic data entry for the application, and the areas that are going to show up in searches and that others will be looking at. One last thing I'd like to show under, I'll show you the search, but then there's, you'll notice the link on the left-hand side for admin as well. Under the admin link, you're able to manage your users. There's company management and license management. So as I mentioned, you can license multiple locations. That's where you would be able to manage that piece. You can have as many users as you would like from your organization access it. And the company management, you're able to add more basic information about your company if you'd like to add some of that in terms of employee count, sales volume. Those things are very, very helpful as well as people are searching and looking at your profile and trying to get an understanding of the size of organization that you are. So I'm going to jump all the way back to search. There's 3 different types of search in the system. You'll notice at the top right, and this is available anywhere you are in the system as well, there's quick search. And if I just wanted to say, take a look at, everything in Alabama, and this is going to be a fairly happy search. So it'll pull up anything where Alabama shows up in a location name, in a street name, in a city name, in the state, anywhere where Alabama might show up, that'll return back in the quick search result. The 2 other kinds of search, there's a basic search. That's what you're presented with as you come to the search page. You're able to put in any kind of information you would like. You're going to take that information out. And let's say here I just wanted to grab Alabama, and I want to say, I'm going to search for anything that has TUF in the city and Alabama as the state, and that would return anything that matches that search criteria, including Tuscaloosa as a city, Columbia, anywhere where it may show up in location or street as well would also show. And the advanced search, I won't spend time going through a lot of the criteria. For those who really like to search and are familiar with search terms and the power of those search terms, that's been included as well. You'll notice the tabs for the different areas that you can search and the different operators that you're able to use to refine your search to make sure you're getting exactly what you're after. The basic search combines fields from all those different areas. You know, MIGS and SIC are here, equipment. So these are the most commonly used fields for searching, and so those are included in the basic. But advanced, you get access to all fields as well. So, Jared, did I miss anything that you wanted to cover today? So, Paul, are there any questions and I'll open it up to everyone, any questions you might have you'd like us to go through today? And,
So Alan, we had a question. We do have a question. Will we be able to download search information, for example, in a CSV format?
Yeah, initially, the answer is no. It's been limited for a number of different reasons. The manufacturers we worked with in the beginning in conversations about scoping for this were concerned about this being used as just another way for salespeople to try to create mailing lists and call logs. And so in the beginning, we've limited it to no export. We're open to that discussion as we move forward and what that might look like. But this first iteration does not have export included in it.
And also with this platform, it's just manufacturers. It's been, as you described, Alan, in the beginning, it's really just manufacturers for manufacturers. Kind of with the NAM answering the question, how can we help manufacturers be more visible in the supply chain? This is one of those solutions. Another question came in is, how can you get the promo code for members? So, great question. So what we plan on doing is everyone that was on this call, this NAM member, we will send the promo code out to you after this call. And so you'll have it to be able to get the member pricing. I will say that Alan did mention the member pricing that we showed for the 500 is for one location. And with that one location, you can search everything. And if you need to be found at one location, that's great. If you have 25 facilities that all produce different products and different locations, each one of those locations would then need a separate license. Another question came in. Is there a special field where we could include unique capabilities such as design for manufacturing and design for test?
Repeat that one more time, Paul. I want to make sure I understood that.
Sure. Is there a special field where we could include unique capabilities such as design for manufacturing and design for test?
Not specifically. One thing that's a great question, by the way. One thing that we found is sometimes helpful where if you find something like that that's not in the current list, well, number one, we hope that you click the help and support and ask if it might be able to be added so that goes into and gets logged through the help and support. But another thing we found is, for example, under equipment, if I had something specific like that, I could add it in my notes. And those keywords that show up would also be searchable. So if you have something like that that you're able to add into a notes area, that can still be searched and found. But if there's a specific field, I hope that you would make that request. I appreciate that one. That's a very good question.
I'll just point out, and we have quite a few states on this call as well. This is in partnership with many of our manufacturing state associations. So if you are not a member of the NAM, but a member in the state, then they'll be able to get you the code for the member pricing as well. So I appreciate that. Will we be sending contact information for adding processes? So I think the question is that if we're looking to add a process to the platform, What is the best way to do that, Alan?
Today, the best way is still through help and support. If you have a number of processes, and you want to contact the support desk, please just include your contact information and request that we reach out to you and make direct contact with you. Again, we're working with ISM on this, and they are gathering subject matter experts around various areas of manufacturing to make sure that we further build out each of the process areas. That kind of feedback is invaluable, and we would love to have a conversation with you if you have a number of processes that are not showing. And so please, by all means, kind of direct it through help and support to begin with, but if you'll include your contact information, then we'll get in touch with you and make sure that you have direct access to those things.
Alan, another question. Do you have a section for searching for companies that can manufacture in accordance with the security requirements of government agencies like the DOE or DOD?
Yeah, great question. So under certification, there are there are only a few right now in the certifications list. Now, one thing that DOT and some SBA, it sounds like, are in there, but the DOD and some of those are not necessarily in there now, but there's been a lot of discussion around those, and as we work on, there's one area of the application that we worked on here in the state of Utah, but is not yet in the national platform, and that is for bids and posting of bids. And we work with a number of government contractors, L3 probably most notably here in Utah, but working on what the requirements were to ensure that we could include not only certifications, but they have specific requirements, security clearances and those kinds of things. They even had an NDA that they wanted to have us upload into the system as a certification, so that if anyone had that NDA signed, they could click on that, add a certification, and so L3, when they were doing searches, they'd be able to search by those who had completed an NDA or had that level of clearance that they needed. So those things are possible in the application, but they may not all be in there in this first release. So if you have something specific you'd like to see in there, again, by all means, please let us know which ones you want in, and we'll take a look at getting those added.
Can we see another question? Can we see a search by brand to see what a profile looks like?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So, Jared, you know a good one that would be used. That would be good for this.
I think you're still on the demo side too, so.
Yeah. And that's why I'm asking Jared, because he probably knows some companies that might be good. Okay. So if we just did. So if I click on, any one of these on cheese trucking, so you can see then, and Paul, specifically, what did they want to see on the profile?
They probably just wanted to see one that wasn't at 25%. Was it 100%?
Oh, okay. Yeah, in the demo site, we don't have any built out to the 100%. In the actual site, there are some that are there and more that are being built out every day. So as people begin building them out, there'll be more and more of them that show up fully completed.
Yeah, I think she's looking for adding in website, phone contacts, etc., to see how it looks.
This is Jeremiah. So the profile that you see when you search for companies, it looks exactly like the profile that you're filling out. So when you fill one out, the only difference between what you're filling out for your company and what people see when they search for you is they don't get those plus signs. So where normally, when Alan was demoing this, you could see how you could just add a record by clicking on the plus sign. The only difference is they're not going to get that plus sign, so they're not going to be able to go in and add records for you, modify your records. They're just going to see it in a read-only format, but it's going to look exactly the same.
Yeah, you'll notice there's no plus sign on this one. It looks just like the other one. And for the next demos that we do, I'll make sure that we have them built out in the demo system as well, so we can demonstrate that.
Another question, do you have a summary of financial data that would give an indication of what sort of ROI companies have seen after joining the manufacturer's marketplace? And take this one. We actually just launched. Really, this is the real launch started yesterday, so we don't have that ROI as of yet. But I will say that with all this, the states coming on as partners in the effort, as well as the NAM working with all their large members to have them in there searching for members, we hope to kind of ramp that up quickly. So we probably not sure we'll be able to track the ROI, but we will kind of start those conversations going between the manufacturing community.
And Paul, I can address that a little bit as well. When we launched the platform here in Utah, there's some really great examples that I can share with you. We really probably don't have enough time for me to go into a lot of those here. But one of the challenges in tracking that is making sure that everyone is okay with once the bid piece is on there, saying, hey, I did business with this company. We awarded a bid, and it was a bid for whatever the dollar value is. That's probably the most effective way of being able to show the ROI. And we have dozens of examples of that as soon as we launched here in Utah, including a $70 million contract that was awarded here in the States and was supposed to go elsewhere by L3. But the challenge early on with this is, number one, the bid piece of that is a little more tricky in that we need some more feedback from manufacturers before we launch that piece. We took it to some rather good depth in the state of Utah that is far beyond what I think is going to be wanted or needed in the national platform. So it's not in this first iteration. You're going to know your ROI on this better than we will, and we're hoping that we can add some fields that will allow you to put that information in and share it with us. And as you do, then we're able to show that. The other thing is there is a dashboard page that will be your landing page that will begin to show you, for example, how many searches you've shown up in, the types of things, the top things that are being searched for in the platform, how many times your profile has been viewed, as an example. A lot of that kind of information is coming out, probably not in the June release, most likely in the July release. And we'll get some of that information out so everyone can see when various pieces of functionality will be in the platform. But that is something that's been requested by a lot of people as well. So thanks for that question. That's a great one.
Alan, I sent you this all. Does this platform allow you to click on a contact email and send RFQ directly?
This one does not yet. And the one in the state of Utah, we worked on that and we have that capability where RFQs and RFPs can be sent out directly from within the system. We would love to hear your feedback on that. And if it's a feature that enough manufacturers want in the national platform as well, we're happy to include that. It's on our roadmap, so it's intended to be added somewhere along the line, but your feedback will probably have a great weight on how soon it's added into the platform. So that whole area of bids and tracking ROI and all of that is all is on those pieces are all on the roadmap today. But depending on, I guess, how many people are requesting it will likely determine how quickly it gets into the platform.
And that looks like all the questions we have, Alan and Jer, for today.
Okay. Terrific. Well, thank you all so very much for participating and for your questions and feedback. We look forward to working with you and having you in the platform. And particularly if you're able to participate in the user group and give us direct feedback, we are very open for that and look forward to it.
Well, thank you, Alan and Jer. I'll follow up with an email after this call with my contact info should you have any additional questions. And then we'll also work for getting the membership promo code to you as well. So on behalf of us all at the NAM, thanks for being members of either the NAM or our state associations. Have a great afternoon.